Hey folks, how's it going? So if you found this video, you've very likely already seen the table that's displayed on the screen now, which is the new exotic drop rates, and that's with title update 16. So I did a little bit of clickbaity stuff. I do apologize. These drops are new as of title update 16, not technically 16.1, but please don't leave. Obviously, they will be continued through 16.1 and beyond, we hope. But the bottom line is, major change that came in title update 16, and again, continued in 16.1, is that now exotics can drop in the open world from random NPCs and any activity. And I'm just quoting directly from the patch notes that I will link in the description, and then I will try to remember to link the 16.1 patch notes once they are released, but as of recording, they have not been. So we're working a little bit on rumor, but obviously I would not expect any of these to change, just because that's not what 16.1 was geared around. But anyway, back to the subject of this video. So I've noticed online some confusion and, even some, dare I say, aggravation with players being really frustrated that they're not getting exotic drops in the open world. One of the more memorable comments I remember was, sort of talking about how they'd playing with some friends. So a party of, 4-player party playing for a few hours, and none of them got exotic drops, and they're sort of like, hey, what's going on? Is it bugged? Is it not working? What's wrong? What's broken? And to their credit, one of the devs actually piped into that thread and said, hey, no, it does sound like it is potentially still working as intended, but obviously, sorry for your luck. And what that made me realize is I think there might be some potential confusion, or just, I think with the way these percentages are displayed, again, no fault of anyone, but I think it can be hard to wrap your head around exactly what this kind of thing means. And so I wanted to, with this video, add some more numbers, but hopefully, talk about some numbers behind the numbers, as it were, to sort of hopefully give tangible examples of, how these numbers affect your chances of getting an exotic in the open world and beyond, from any random NPC, which, again, first and foremost, I think is a really cool change. I think, the fact that now there's at least a non-0% chance that you could get an exotic from any encounter that you do is an overall positive. I think exotics are fun, and I think they're cool to play around with, so the more people that can, at least, have the chance of getting one, all the better. But moving into probably the most applicable chart for everybody, we're looking at the open world, main, and side missions. And the reason why I combined all of those is because the percentages, if you look back on the table, all the percentages for these areas are exactly the same. Obviously, they differ from challenging to heroic, as you can see on the screen, but they are the same across those kind of two circumstances, whether you're roaming the open world or in a main or side mission. Your chance of getting an exotic drop on challenging is 0.0818% and 0.024% on heroic. I'm going to stop reading those because you can read them for yourself, but I do want to talk about kind of more of what that means specifically. So along the x-axis, you can see I've charted, enemies killed, and I tried to pick some, maybe not representative, but at least sort of showing some jumps in chance as you go along, as you continue to play. So one of the most notable things, as you can see on the far left, after you've killed 10 enemies, there is a basically 0% chance that you are going to get an exotic drop. And that's to be expected, right? If you were getting a drop after 10 enemies killed, that might be a little too much, right? We're putting maybe too much into too many hands. So looking at 50, you finally can see some color in these numbers. It's still only hovering around 1-ish% for either challenging or heroic. In 100, again, you see another basically doubling, looking at about 2%. 500, you get to about 10%, so on and so forth. You can see finally at about 1,000 kills, so it's after you've killed 1,000 enemies, if you're playing on heroic, you've got better than a 20% chance of getting an exotic drop. But I do want to bring up that still means there is almost an 80% chance that you are not going to get an exotic after killing 1,000 enemies. I think that's what, again, that commenter that I mentioned, and I think a lot of us sort of maybe have trouble wrapping our heads around is with percentages, there's always at least two sides. There's, the chance of getting something, but that also means there's a chance of not getting something. So again, hopefully this kind of helps put into perspective that, again, it's really cool. Eventually you are going to break that, 50% chance, as you see, like after you've killed 5,000 enemies. If you're playing on either challenging or heroic, you've got better than a 50% chance. But even on heroic, you've got just under 70% chance of getting an exotic, which again means you have a 30% chance of not getting an exotic. And this is a little bit of an oversimplification, but if, think of it like 3 out of every 10 times you kill 5,000 enemies, you're not going to get an exotic. If we were shooting free throws, that means you're going to miss 3 of every 10. It's that kind of overarching numbers that mean, while it is more likely than not after 5,000 kills, there's still a decent chance that you're not going to get one. Moving on to strongholds. So you'll see here they dropped the percentage chance for challenging and left it alone for heroic. And then we've gone ahead and included the legendary chance, because you can run, I think it's 1 stronghold a week on legendary. Again, same enemies killed numbers, just to, again, keep it consistent across comparisons. Jumping forward, I'm not going to repeat them all the way I did the first time, but, looking at 5,000 on challenging, you've got about a 30% chance. 1 out every 3 times you might get an exotic after you kill 5,000 enemies. These particular percentages do work out that if you want to challenge yourself and play on either heroic or legendary, you are significantly increasing your chances over challenging. Even at the 1,000 mark, if you're playing on legendary, you have about the same chance of getting an exotic in 1,000 kills on legendary as if you were playing 5,000 kills on challenging. So that is quite the benefit. But again, my main stance has always been play at whatever difficulty you're having fun at, because it's no fun if you're just getting killed all the time. So continuing on, we've got strongholds and now the dark zone. So if you remember in the chart, and again you'll see it here in the graph, the dark zone actually has the highest drop chance for exotics per kill. That's 0.072, which is, again, as you can do some easy math, that's double over legendary. I think there's been some discourse online. I think makes sense. I think it plays into sort of the dark zone, high risk, high reward. It's the only area where a player can steal your loot, and as such, if you're willing to take on that greater risk, you should be rewarded for that. That said, I honestly don't find myself in the dark zone a lot. It's possible that I'll go in there more now, knowing these numbers, and maybe that was their intent. But again, it's one of the things that it's very interesting. I think it makes sense. It may not be something I personally benefit from. I don't know if you all will. Feel free to comment below if you think differently, or if you do just, you frequent the dark zone, let me know. And I'm curious what those comments look like. But to wrap this one up in particular, with that doubling of chance, this is one situation where absolutely, after killing 1,000 enemies, you got better than a 50% chance. After killing 5,000, which again, if you frequent the dark zone, you play a lot with a bunch of people, you're going to get up there. And again, after 5,000 kills, you can see we're darn near close to 100%. It's 95 plus that you're going to get an exotic to drop. So again, really cool feature. It's just yet another way to get an exotic, and onto the summit we go. Slight change to that pretty color format that we had previously. Goal here was to include as much information as possible without overwhelming, but you can let me know in the comments if I was successful or not. Up in the legend, you can see as you progress through the floors, at those recognizable tier breaks, sort of every 20 levels, you're going to get a slight bump in % chance of an exotic drop. But as you can see in the graphs themselves, it's not really a significant increase, not one that you'll probably notice after multiple iterations. Even at 5,000 kills on challenging, you're looking at roughly 1.5% increased chance, depending on if you're going from 0 to 20, 20 to 40, etc. Overall, obviously, yes, you're going to get a bump. If you're comparing 0 to 20 to 80 to 100 on challenging, you've got about a 6% better chance after 5,000 kills. But again, overall, in the grand scheme of things, considering after 5,000 kills, you're sitting at around that 60-65% chance mark. An extra 2 to 3%, kind of not going to move the needle. Looking over at the heroic numbers, obviously you are going to get an increase there. Going from 0 to 100, you get about a 10% better chance at the maximum floor tier. So that one actually is probably going to be noticeable if you were to play it enough on just those floors. But I'm guessing people aren't doing that, but if you are, let me know how. So really, it's just going to be one of those added benefits as you continue to climb. You're going to see a better chance. But again, this is all after 5,000 kills. Just to highlight it one more time, even at 100 kills, you're sitting at 2 to 3% chance of getting an exotic moving through the summit, even on heroic. And we'll wrap this one up with the newest addition to the game modes, Countdown. I have had quite a lot of fun. One of the other changes to Title Update 16 is the adding of difficulty modes to Countdown. So if you're playing on challenging, which was the old default, you can see how your numbers look. And then again, heroic, a slightly different percentage, but honestly not a significant increase. But at best, sitting at about 5,000, you've got about a 30% chance of getting an exotic, which, again, just to back to the main point, means there is, nearly a 70% chance that you don't get an exotic after 5,000 kills on Countdown. So while it is a very cool feature, I am glad it's been added. It doesn't mean that you're guaranteed an exotic, and almost quite the opposite. There's on Countdown, after so many kills, there is a significant chance that you will not get an exotic to drop. And I think that kind of holds true across the spectrum. Obviously, looking at the Dark Zone, you are going to have a better than not chance after, X number of kills. It's right around 1,000. But again, it's one of those things that I think just to keep in mind, and hopefully, again, these charts helped create a tangible reference for, what these numbers actually mean. What is your chance of getting an exotic? And it's not great, but it is better than 0, which is better than before. And the one last comment I will make is, again, well, obviously, yes, your chances of getting an exotic increase the harder difficulty you play on. I think Countdown is a good way to sort of round it out. That the most important thing is play at whatever difficulty you find the most enjoyable. At the end of the day, it is a game that I think we all love and enjoy. It is still a game, and the best way to enjoy a game is to play it and have fun. So go out there and do that. Let me know in the comments if you thought this was entertaining, useful, any or all of those things. If we get enough traction on this, it's absolutely something we're open to doing more of on the channel. And again, first and foremost, go out there and have fun.